Good morning, everybody. Welcome again to the furrow. This is the part 2 series of a 3-part series here with Ken Sauder. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and love to keep having you tuning in with us here today. Ken, tell us here what we're looking at, what we're going to be talking about today.
Sure. So I want to talk a little bit about nutrient management. You know, over the years, you guys have all learned that when we're out here, if I do a once and done, do I do a single pass of anhydrous? Do I do a single pass of a weed and feed? And almost all of you have moved into what I call a side dress application. Why did we do that? It's simple. It's all about yield, right? Same amount of nitrogen. We're just taking and splitting it. Every time I split efficiency of nitrogen, we double the efficiency factor.
Wow.
So if I'm looking at a 28 program, 60% efficient. If I make a 2-pass out of it, I get you to 80%. Now, what we want to talk about here in this session is going to a 3rd pass. So I may do 25% up front on a weed and feed, or maybe with an anhydrous. I'm going to come back in with 25% on the planter, and then 50% still with my side dress.
Okay.
And when we do that, really what we're doing, we're just taking and we're putting right underneath the gauge wheel.
Okay.
So we just take the existing gauge wheel off, we put the gauge wheel on, we take a knife, and we inject our nitrogen right underneath the row.
Okay.
So we're putting it about an inch, inch and a quarter deep. All I have to do is get nitrogen into moisture, and we've sealed that up.
Okay.
And when we do this by adding that 3rd efficiency factor, same amount of in, we're adding another 10, 11 bushel to the operation.
Wow. How much do you recommend guys put on it with this system if they were to switch things out?
So there's been a lot of studies on that. We kind of started with a 30 unit. We're seeing a 5 to 7 bushel with 30 units.
Okay.
We're actually seeing if we step up to almost 60 units. So we're just pulling that out of my side dress, we're putting it right on the planter, or we're pulling it out of that first pass. And at that stage, we're getting you on up into that 10 to 12 bushel yield.
Wow, that's amazing. How long would a system like this last before needing to replace? Does it hold up pretty similar to other gauge wheels out there?
Right, so the gauge wheel we'd expect to be very similar
Okay.
scenario. We do have a wear item here on that knife. So anytime I have a ground engaging tool, it is a tungsten coated, so you know, designed for wear. We even have a high wear if we need to go to that, if you have more of my sandy type soils. But it's, you know, that's going to be a probably every other year replacement. It is a wear item.
Okay.
Gauge wheel should be just like a regular gauge wheel.
Okay, great.
We do put the spoke in here so that as we're running through the field, a few of you have gone into what I call those damp areas, maybe a little damper than what damp should be.
Yeah.
So we got to let that dirt, any of the residue that would get in there, flow back out.
Okay. So looking at this here versus say a 2x2 system, what's the advantages that you've seen looking and comparing those two type of systems?
So we've chased a lot of the different 2x2s. That's kind of where we started at that point. And probably the big factor we see with that is that if I'm putting it up front, basically my row unit's flexing up and down as we go through the field. My 2x2 is set to the same depth it's based off of the frame. And if I have what I call the trail behinds, basically they're flowing as I go around waterways, as I go around my ditches. Basically that knife becomes right over the top of my seed trench.
Okay.
We get into burn at that stage.
I see.
So by being underneath gauge wheel, we just take that totally out of the equation.
You're always going to be next to the road.
Always right next to my seed trench.
Great. Well, hey, I appreciate your time again here today. We do have a 3rd video coming at you. And Ken, what are we going to be talking about in this 3rd video coming up?
So we're going to switch gears. We're going to get away from corn a little bit and move into the soybean side. So with soybeans, we got to talk a little bit. Sometimes it's planting date, sometimes it's spacing, sometimes it's down pressure, and might even talk a little bit on nutrients on soybeans.
Great. Well, thanks again for being here. I'm really excited for this 3rd video. The first time I met Ken, we got to talking about soybean spacing and how important that is. So stay tuned for that next video. Thanks for joining us here today.
Thanks, guys.